I just finished watching this first episode, Eminence in the Shadow. It is a series that I have heard quite a bit about from my good friend Nama to other people on social media, and they've been hyping this series up to me basically since the anime got announced. And so I went into this first episode completely blind. I had a feeling it was going to have some fantasy tone because of certain illustrations and stuff I've seen from it, but that's pretty much about it. I didn't really know what to expect, and so when I started the first episode, I was a little bit shocked with just like the overall slice of life nature that the first segment of the episode had. And I'm going to talk about the entirety, the madness of this episode, and just what makes it great. But just to make a long story short, though, to just do a brief summary, I think that this is legitimately a great series, and I know there's going to be a lot of anime from this season, like Chainsaw Man, Bleach, Mob Psycho, etc., that are going to probably blow this series away, because there's just so many people talking about these other anime that I feel like this series will be overshadowed. No pun intended, because I know the title is Eminence in the Shadow, but it's still a very good series, and I think that anyone that wants to watch something that they have no expectations for, they don't know if it's going to be good or bad, definitely should give this series a shot, because this first episode is legitimately a good first episode. And so let's just get right into it. So once again, as someone that knew nothing about it, didn't know what I was getting into, didn't even know the synopsis of the story, I was a little bit shocked that it was slice of life. There was a lot of slice of life moments. We get a little bit of introduction to this character here, that's a female character, and then we get introduced to our main male character, and how he's basically like a average character that is just below average, and let's say just studying to athletics, everything, at least the general impression you get from the character like early on in the episode. You just find out that the character is just below average, or average. He has looks and everything, so you're like, oh, okay, so that's our character, and then we get a little bit more focus on the female character and how she's just kind of analyzing the MC and who he is as a person. And throughout the entirety of this first half, I was thinking to myself, like, before this all happened, like, is this going to be a reverse isekai? Is that what it is? For instance, did our MC, the main male character, did he, let's say, die in a fantasy world and get, reincarnated in modern day Japan? That was my thoughts up to this very point of the episode. I was like, okay, so did he get resurrected or something? And my expectations continue to get very intrigued. I was like, what's going on here? Where's the story gonna go, and what's next? And we get a little bit of a hostage situation here, where the main female character, or I guess not technically the main female character if you watch the episode, but the female character, or the main female character of the first episode, she's kidnapped, and she's held for ransom. They're trying to get money from her, the typical formula you would see with that type of plot line, and our MC, the main male character, comes in, and he stomps these individuals. He absolutely stomps these guys, and it's honestly just an incredible moment, because it's like, oh, okay, this man isn't just a below average teen, which is to be expected since he's our MC, but he just starts absolutely dominating the two individuals that were holding our main female character of episode 1 hostage. But what makes this very interesting is there's a little brief moment, basically, like when he first appears here in the episode, is he like says he's the ruffian slayer, and as soon as the MC like comes down from like top and he lands and he says that, it was just it was so funny, because it's like, you have this hostage situation. You have, like, these two gang members holding this girl hostage, and this man's first instinct was to introduce himself as, like, a ruffian slayer. And I'm like, bro. Bro. I legitimately, that was funny. Like, I was dying laughing when I watched that moment of this episode. But once we got done with that brief comedy, the episode took a very dark turn, very bloody turn, I will so to say. Like, I mean, it is violent. There is a lot of violence in this moment, a lot of blood, and basically by the way this is just showcased in the scene, it's not like directly shown, but you can kind of imply that the MC, when he was beating up on the two gang members, he broke their entire body without killing them. Like, he beat them literally an inch before dying. That's literally what happened to them. At least my understanding of the situation, which kind of shows the psyche of the MC and just how deranged he kind of can be, I feel like that's a big deal there with his character, to see that he is capable of these very horrid acts. I mean, yes, the two individuals that, like, he beat up on in this episode, they're not good people. They're not. 100% they're not good people. They kind of had it coming. But it doesn't change the fact, for a person of his age, basically in high school, to be able to do something like that just shows how deranged his mind is. It's not something just the average person can do. It's not. You have to have a certain mental, I guess, level to be able to do these type of acts. And we do get a little bit of information on that, like, at the end of the episode, where you kind of get to see this inner monologue of him talking about after his death. Like, he literally starts talking about him wanting to get stronger himself, getting stronger, to be able to evolve past the limits of humanity and all these things. And he gives a lot of insight to his self, like, why he is like he is. And I like that. It's a very good segment of the episode to really kind of show his drive throughout the first half of the episode. So, I like his character. I legitimately like the MC, and I think that he's definitely not your average run-of-the-mill MC. Like, he'll get things done. It definitely seems like he will get things done if he needs to get things done, but also he does say some funny things that you can laugh at. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily intentional by, let's say, the character, but I feel like maybe the author is throwing in some comedy hijinks with the writing to kind of get away from nothing but just the darker tones, which is fine. I think that any dark series does need some comedy. Even Berserk, the manga series, has comedy in it. So, when you think about it, I think it's very fitting. I think the overall contrast of the tones from comedy to very dark is perfect, at least from what I saw from the first episode. Now, there's a few things I do want to talk about before I get a little bit deeper into the story and also, being reincarnated and all that. I want to talk about the art. The art and animation, okay, for majority of the episode, it's good. Like, it's average. It's average to slightly above average. And there is moments where I feel like the quality dips a little bit. Like, I feel like, right here, like, before this scene here, like, we have a little dip in quality with some of the character expressions, and I don't think it's bad. I want to make sure I make that fundamentally clear. I don't think the animation is bad, because I feel like people will interpret I'm saying that. And we're not always going to have, like, a Demon Slayer type of anime. That's not possible. It's not feasible. So, what I'm trying to say is there was moments that the art style and animation looked very average, and I feel like there is definitely some good moments that look very beautiful. Like, I really, really love this, like, beginning sequence here when, like, after he reincarnates, there's, like, this really beautiful sequence of animation. Like, this entire segment here, this is really beautiful. I love this. But, like I said, there is, most of the episode, it's very averagey. But there is moments that definitely shine, that stand out when you're watching the first episode. So, I just want to make sure I make everybody's thoughts, or, like, impressions of this very clear. That you're not probably going to get Demon Slayer level animation. That's not feasible. But, it still looks good. But, okay. Anyways, let's get back into the plot. So, at least with what I understand with the current character, the MC's, like, motivation, he's someone that, he wants to live in the shadows, which, reference to the title, Eminence in the Shadow, he wants to live in the shadow because he doesn't want to be the Demon Lord, he doesn't want to be the hero, he wants to be someone that is, like, controlling everything behind the scenes. And this is the type of subplot I have kind of seen in the past with different light novels and stuff. It's nothing necessarily brand new, and I mean, let's be honest here, when it comes to the fantasy type genre and all that, it's really hard to come up with something completely 100% original, but as I always say, it comes down to execution. It comes down to how it's utilized. And in this case, I feel like seeing the MC wanting to take a backseat, not be like on the front lines as a hero or even as a demon lord, is definitely an interesting take for the story, because when you look at, like, the beginning of this episode, like, the way he operates, it does seem like he just wants to be a hero, because he's saving a girl that's kidnapped, and he beats the crap out of these goons. That's what it looks like. But when you look at it from that perspective, wanting to be in the shadows, he doesn't want credit. He doesn't want to be recognized. He doesn't want his name to be held as the best ever. He just wants to be the shadowy figure in the background. And I think that's really cool. It reminds me a lot of, the Gray Fox. If anyone remembers, the Gray Fox from, Elder Scrolls. Kind of like, how you have a thief that's, faceless, you don't know who it is. I know the stories are very different. There's some differences, very big differences in the story. But I've always have enjoyed characters that want to remain in the shadows, not really have a face, and they want to stay like that. They're not about fame, they're not about getting their name out, they're not about anything like that. All they're about is just staying in the shadows and doing what they want to do without really anyone knowing about it. It's really cool. I like that element to the character, and it shows that he's not completely egotistical as well if he says stuff like that. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, overall, my thoughts and impressions of Eminence in the Shadow is, as you can see by the video, incredibly positive. I like this first episode. I legitimately think that this is a good episode, and I have a feeling that this might become the potential next Mushoku Tensei. Now, I'm not saying that it's gonna be as popular, but I feel like, at least for this season, this might become the talk of the town. I could be entirely wrong. I have seen great series over the years that have been just outright standouts, like just quality 10 out of 10 shows, but they just don't get talked about. I've seen it. I've covered many of them, and this could be one of those type of shows. Also, since I'm an anime only, I don't know how the light novel is. I don't know exactly if the content's been properly covered or not. That's something I do want to make sure I clarify. I don't even know how the adaptation really is, but at least as my impressions as an anime only, this is a good episode. I think it got the point across to what I want to do with the character backstory, to just like finding out how he got reincarnated in another world. It's great. The only sadness I have about this whole episode is the fact this female character here, she's probably not going to be in the series. She's a character that's basically a throwaway, stuck in the human world, or the regular modern-day Japan, which is sad, because I feel like she was kind of getting to be an interesting character until he got hit by Trucken. So yeah, I guess I'll leave it at that though. If you enjoyed the video, and you would like to see more Eminence in the Shadow videos, do drop me a like and let me know in the comments below. But with that, guys, be safe, stay healthy, Chibi out.